And today, some women's groups are furious over what they call a very polarizing message. It's actually set to air during the most coveted spot in advertising.
That's right. It's a Super Bowl commercial with an anti-abortion undertone featuring college football star Tim Tebow. Critics say CBS should have never agreed to an ad paid for by the conservative Christian group Focus on the Family. CBS says it is easing restrictions on advocacy ads as long as they're, quote, responsibly produced. Well, it looks like we will not get to see the ad for ourselves until game day. Focus for the Family tells NBC News that they will not send out a preview. Let's bring in Erin Matson, Vice President of the National Organization for Women, and Charmaine Yost, President and CEO of Americans United for Life. Charmaine, what would be the problem with seeing this ad ahead of time? If there's nothing wrong with it, why won't Focus on the Family release it?
Well, it's, basic marketing. You want to debut it at the Super Bowl. But don't you think it's fascinating, David, that NOW is trying to censor the Tebows from telling their story? I mean,
no, they're not trying to censor. The Tebows can have a news conference anytime they want. We're talking about paid advertising for the Super Bowl. CBS has a right to restrict ads in the Super Bowl, as they have done.
Well, they have the right to do whatever they want to, but don't we also have freedom of speech in this country? What is now afraid of? Are they afraid of hearing this inspirational story of hope that's encouraging to people across this country? I think it's just breathtaking that they are so afraid of hearing from the Tebows.
Well, this notion that CBS has all of a sudden changed its policy to incorporate ads that are, quote, responsibly produced, unquote, raises serious concerns. Who decides what is responsibly produced? Whose views will be allowed to go over the airwaves? We continue to demand that they take this off the air.
And, Erin, are you prepared to go beyond the demand? Are you planning protests, something a step beyond the verbal rhetoric at this point?
Well, I've been going from news outlet to news outlet all day today, and we've got people signing petitions, and that's where we're focused right now. I think the outrage is palpable, though. The outrage is palpable. Nobody wants to have the abortion debate with their 6-year-old in their living room over the Super Bowl.
Erin, I just think it's fascinating. You don't really care about CBS's policies. You just don't want people to hear Mrs. Tebow tell her very inspirational story. And you're coming out against one woman talking about her choice. I just think that's fascinating. Why don't you want the American women to hear a story of a woman talking about the infinite possibilities that life offers? I mean, Tim Tebow is a hero.
Why should that ad run during the Super Bowl of all places? I mean, it's a football game. It's not a political debate. It's not MSNBC. It's a football game.
Well, first off, you don't know that it's political because the ad hasn't been seen. So I think
but you don't know that it's not political because the ad hasn't been seen, right?
No, we don't know. I think now is rushing to judgment. But, David, I want to ask the question because, why you're asking why show this ad? Why doesn't NOW go out and raise the money to put their own ad on? I mean, let's have freedom of speech. Let's have an open airing
Erin, let's
of
give you the
opinions.
last word on that. Why not run a counter ad?
Well, if I had more than $2 million to spend on fighting for abortion rights, the last place I would go is to focus on the Super Bowl. I think we need to focus on this. Really isn't about the story. The principle here is that we've got Focus on the Family, a group that would like to overturn Roe versus Wade, being allowed to buy an ad spot in the Super Bowl.
We'll get into that another time. Right. Erin Matson and Charmaine Yost, thank you both so much for coming on. We appreciate it. And that's all for us this Tuesday. I'm David Schuster in Washington.
I'm Tamron Hall. Dylan Radigan up next.